It's Sunday evening. The tea in your hand went cold 20 minutes ago and you haven't noticed. Because you're not really in the kitchen. You're back in Friday's meeting, replaying the moment your manager said that thing, that small, casual thing, in front of the team. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even the worst thing anyone said to you, but it landed like a paper cut you can't stop touching. And now the whole weekend, which was supposed to be yours, has quietly disappeared into a loop you didn't consent to enter. Here's what I want to explore with you today. There's a single, audacious claim we're going to sit with. What we experience as loss, whether it's the loss of a job, a relationship, a version of ourselves, or just the loss of a good weekend to an intrusive thought, might not be what we think it is. The claim goes further than that. Actually, it suggests that the deepest fear underneath all our smaller fears, the fear that something good can be permanently taken from us, that things can truly end, may be less a fact about reality and more a thought we've been treating as one. And if that thought is wrong, then a huge amount of the suffering we build on top of it starts to look quietly optional. Stay with me. This isn't abstract. This is about that cold tea. Notice something about the kitchen table moment. Friday is over, the meeting ended, your manager has moved on and is probably watching a show right now, not thinking about you at all. The event, factually, is not happening. And yet the weight in your chest is real. The tightness in your jaw is real. The way your shoulders have crept up toward your ears, real. So what's producing the weight? Not Friday. Friday is gone. What's producing the weight is a thought that has convinced itself it's a fact. A story your mind is telling on loop that says, this means something permanent about me. This is a preview. This is who I am now. This will keep happening. Something has been lost that I can't get back. That last part is the hidden engine. Underneath almost every heavy feeling, the anxiety before the email you don't want to send, the dread about the doctor's appointment, the ache after a conversation went sideways, there's a quiet belief humming underneath. Something good can be permanently taken away. Safety. Standing. Love. Time. The version of your life you were building. We don't usually name it, we just feel it, and we call it stress, or being tired, or having a lot on our plate. But if you trace any of those feelings down to the root, you tend to find the same thing waiting there. Here's a way to hold this that might help. Imagine your mind is a screen. Luminous, unchanged, always on. Dreams play across it, vivid, urgent, emotionally real while they're happening. In the dream you might be falling, or being chased, or losing someone you love, and your heart pounds, your breath quickens, everything in you responds as if it's happening. But the screen itself, the screen never catches fire during the action sequence. The screen never gets wet in the storm. The screen doesn't actually go dark when the villain wins the final scene. The images move, the screen doesn't. What this lesson is quietly asking is, which one do we think we are? Because we've spent most of our lives identified with the images. We think we are the falling, the chasing, the losing. We think when the dream turns dark, we turn dark with it. And so every setback becomes, in some small way, a rehearsal for annihilation. A little practice run at the thing we fear most. But what if we're not the dream? What if we're the screen the dream plays on, and the screen has been fine this whole time? There's an idea worth sitting with here. And I'll say it plainly. A thought can't actually leave the mind that thought it. It can feel like it did. It can feel like your fear is out there, embedded in the manager, embedded in Friday, embedded in the future, but the fear is happening in the only place fear can happen. Inside you. Right now, which means the pain is real. But the permanence you're attaching to it is something the mind invented. And what the mind invented, the mind can revise. Not by force, not by pretending. Just by noticing what it's doing. This is the turn. This is where the whole thing shifts. If it's going to shift. Because as long as we believe the weight is coming at us from the outside, from what happened, from what might happen, from what we've lost, we're powerless. We're waiting for the world to stop hurting us. But when we notice the weight is being generated inside, right now, by a thought treating itself as a fact, something loosens. Not everything. Just enough. Death, in the way this lesson uses the word, isn't only about the body. It's about every small ending we imagine as final. The death of the career track you thought you were on. The death of the relationship you hoped this would become. The death of who you were before this year happened. All of those, this lesson says, are thoughts. Painful thoughts, but thoughts. Back to the kitchen. The tea is still cold. You're still in the loop. And then somebody, a partner, a kid, a neighbor, the dog, knocks on the door of your attention. Says your name. And there's this half second where you surface. Where you realize, oh, I was somewhere else. I wasn't here. That half second is everything. In that half second, the loop breaks. Not because Friday didn't happen, but because you remembered you were the one watching Friday replay. You weren't inside it. You were the awareness it was playing across the screen. Briefly, noticed itself. Most of us have that half second dozens of times a day and we don't do anything with it. It passes, and we sink back into the loop. But you can stretch that half second. You can, when it comes, take a breath and stay there. Just for a moment, just long enough to feel the difference between being in the dream and being what the dream is playing on. That's the whole practice. That's not a small thing dressed up as a big thing. That's a big thing dressed down so it fits into your Sunday evening. Here's what starts to happen when this becomes even slightly familiar. Decisions feel less catastrophic, not because the stakes changed, but because they stopped feeling like referendums on your entire existence. Relationships feel less fragile, not because conflict disappears, but because a hard conversation stops feeling like the end of something. The low-grade dread that hums beneath ordinary Tuesday afternoons, the one you'd stop noticing because it's been there so long, that starts to quiet. Life stops feeling like something you're constantly losing and starts feeling like something you're moving through. None of this requires you to believe anything you don't already sense. It just asks you to notice, when the weight arrives, whether the weight is actually about now, or whether it's a thought insisting something has been permanently taken from you, when in fact you're sitting in a kitchen, and the tea is cold, and you are right here, entirely intact. We're going to move into the meditation now. You don't have to do anything with what we just talked about. You don't have to remember it or agree with it. Just let it settle. The part of you that needed to hear it already did. If you'd like more teachings and guided practices like this, you can like the video and subscribe. And now, we'll move into a short guided meditation. Let's begin by letting the body arrive. Feel where you're sitting. Feel the parts of you that are already supported, the chair beneath you, the floor beneath your feet, the ground beneath the floor. You don't have to hold yourself up right now. Something else is doing that. Let your shoulders drop a little. Let your jaw soften. Let the space between your eyebrows relax. Breathe in gently, and let the breath out a little slower than you took it in. Again. In. And a slow release. Notice that the breath is happening on its own. You aren't making it happen. It's being given to you. Now, without effort, become aware of the space your thoughts are moving through. Not the thoughts themselves. The space. Thoughts arrive. They pass. Feelings rise. They pass. Sensations come and go, and something in you notices all of it. That noticing has been here the whole time. That is the screen, steady, unchanged, lit from within. Whatever played across it today, the meeting, the message, the memory, the ache, none of it left a mark on what's watching. Rest there for a moment. Not in the images, in what the images are moving across. You don't have to fix anything from here. You don't have to become anything from here. You are already what you were looking for. Breathe in, slow release. Feel how much of you was never in danger. Feel how much of you cannot be lost. Stay here as long as you want. When you're ready, let your attention widen. Notice the sounds in the room. The temperature of the air on your skin, the weight of your hands. Gently open your eyes if they've been closed. You can carry this quiet with you. It doesn't stay behind. Thank you for spending this time in practice. A free digital ACIM resource is linked in the description if you'd like it. And if you wish, you're welcome to comment. I am grateful. Thank you for spending this time with us. Whatever you came in carrying, we hope some small part of it feels lighter now, or at least a little less certain of itself. Be gentle with yourself the rest of today. The screen has been fine this whole time. And so have you. We'll see you next time.